This will be the greatest atmosphere you have ever witnessed in a boxing ring.
Here we go.
Zepeda absolutely relentless.
Zurdo Ramirez fought like a Mexican southpaw.
Beautiful jab from Hitchens right there.
What a great performance.
He was just too good.
This is a championship fight.
This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available to watch on DAZN. Delighted to be joined here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Mr. Andy Lee.
Hi Charlie.
How are you, mate?
Fine. As good as ever.
Enjoying life out in Saudi?
Nah. It's
Business.
yeah, it could be anywhere in the world. Just do what we have to do.
In terms of settings and surroundings, it's quite a nice setup.
It's nice, yeah. It's very nice in that way. The sun is shining every day, so it's definitely helps.
On a personal level, before we go into Joe's fight in the world of boxing as a whole, but how is everything with you? Everything all good?
Yeah. Just another day. Listen, these things, they've just become the routine. You know, the routine.
Yes.
Well, this is our third fight out here now. Yeah, I guess you have to listen. Just probably appreciate it more and take stock more, because these are special days. Probably the time of my life professionally, but when you're in the middle of it all, you just have a job to do.
I just spoke to Joe. He said that when you guys got together, one of the first things that Tyson said was about your boxing brain. But at the time, I think he mentioned that you only had Paddy Donovan and maybe another fighter, and it was quite like maybe a raw, fresh thing for both of you, but you both brought each other on and the relationship just blossomed perfectly. He says that even now he's still learning things with you and it's starting to become the best it's been. Do you feel that firsthand on your side?
Yeah, I think we've grew together. Me as a coach and him as a fighter. We've had some downs, and we've had one down, but we've had a lot of ups. And the best is still yet to come for Joseph, which is hard to believe. He's a veteran of 38 fights now, but he's still getting better.
Still only 31?
Yeah, 32. But just turned 32.
Okay.
So yeah, we definitely grew together, and it's a great relationship, and a special one as well, because the friendship that's there and the respect that's there between us both.
In terms of the heavyweight division, it got a lot of criticism over the last sort of 10, 15 years or so, maybe this newer crop of people not fighting as much. We've seen AJ headed the bill Friday night. Joe is probably active as although he's had quite an active career actually and always fought everyone. I suppose he may be a bit of an exception to the rule, but really active at the minute. I suppose just first-hand reflecting on that Deontay Wilder fight, a lot of people wrote you off going into that. He went in as the bookies underdog. I remember him making that quite clear when he'd done the media rounds, and what seemed like an effortless performance. Of course it wouldn't have been, and he would have had to be switched on at all points, but in terms of your game plan and the way he executed it, it just looked perfect in there.
Yeah, fighters just need guidance, you know, and we had a good game plan. And then what we're doing now is it's not going to be completely different really. It's just going to a continuation of what you saw in that fight, and it's always been the biggest challenge for Joe has been staying focused, staying present, just thinking about what he's actually doing, why he's doing things in the ring. So we just built on that all the time, and now it's a different challenge. It's a tougher challenge, I think, because it's a bigger man and a southpaw and a big puncher. So all the things that Joe did well against Wilder, he's going to have to do again, but probably even better.
What do you make of Zhilei Zhang? quite an interesting one, because a couple of years ago he was going life and death with Jerry Forrest, and then came on leaps and bounds, had that fight against Hrgovic, which everyone thought he probably won that, and then obviously the 2 fights recently with Joseph Parker. He's now the man ahead of you come Friday night. How do you assess Zhilei Zhang?
Well, how do I assess him? He's a well schooled, because he's got the amateur background, so he's very, anybody who does well as an amateur, they have technique, proper technique, and are well schooled and well tested, because you have to be when you're in that amateur system fighting, 4 or 5 times in a tournament against all different countries and styles. It probably took him a while to adapt to the pro game after being an amateur for so long, and now he's in good form, beating Joyce twice. I've watched the Hrgovic fight loads of times, and Hrgovic won the fight for me anyway.
Okay.
I thought Hrgovic won. Listen, it was a close fight, and Zhang had a lot of good moments, but Hrgovic was more consistent. Listen, it's a very difficult fight. He's right up there. If Joe, I know they're not in the same year, but if Joe beats Zhang off the back of beating Wilder, he's fighter of the year. You know what I mean? Give him the award, because there's no one doing what Joe's doing, taking on the challenges that Joe is taking on. And like you say about the heavyweight division in the past, we've been waiting a long time for AJ and Wilder to fight. Now that fight's gone. We've been waiting a long time for Tyson AJ to fight. That fight may or may not happen. You know what I mean? Tyson's getting it on with Usyk, and that's great to see. And it's all down to the Saudi Arabian influence in boxing now. And but Joe's taking on the challenges that nobody else wants. And I don't know. Nobody else wanted to fight Zhang, but Joe does. Nobody else wanted to fight Wilder, but Joe did. No one else wanted to fight Joyce at the time, and Joe did. So he keeps on taking these challenges. And
even before that, when he fought Andy Ruiz, when he came over to the UK to fight Anthony Joshua, Joe's always been, and he's still like one of the younger heavyweights now.
Fury at the time was undefeated, the next great fighter coming up. So always took it to big challenges.
Zhang, given that he's got a translator, loves this chat shit, get Zhang, get banged.
It's good,
all
yeah.
sorts. Joe's just laughing about it, saying he's actually going to Zhang him.
Yeah.
What do you make of it? Or just selling the fight?
Yeah, no, listen, it's what he wants to do, isn't he? He wants to knock somebody out, and it's a good line, isn't it? So, yeah. Joe wants to bang him, he wants to bang Joe. They should get a room. Not a room.
I caught up with Tyson on Sunday. He said he expects Joe to win this fight, but he needs to box sensibly. I know you guys won't want to give the game plan away, but we know that Zhang carries power throughout the fight, but more specifically early on. We've seen that with the Joe Joyce fight. Do you sort of reiterate that same thing? Is it got to be another meticulous performance like the Wilder one, but this time a southpaw?
Yeah, it has to be, yeah. It's not rocket science boxing. There's no, it's not. It's quite simple. It's a simple game. Hit your opponent and don't get hit. That's what Joe has to do, is avoid the power punches from Zhang. Be smart, don't be greedy, and just pick up the rounds. Let the fight develop. Let the fight and let the rhythm for Joseph, start seeing patterns in Zhang. And yeah, it's not. Zhang's going to be the aggressor. He's going to try and walk Joe down. He's going to probably watch the Joyce fight and think that's what he has to do. But Joe's a different fighter, so hopefully they are watching the Joyce fight and picking up confidence from that, because he'll be surprised.
Let's talk a little bit about the world of boxing as a whole. Tyson Fury, we know that fight is rescheduled now, May the 18th with Oleksandr Usyk. Just firstly, caught up with him the other day about it, but all this stuff about the cut being fake. Just first hand, what did you make of it all?
Nah, anybody who knows boxing knows that these things or is involved in boxing, like you'll see the reaction to nearly all the professional boxers. They know it's a genuine thing that happens all the time in training. Conspiracy theories about it being a self-inflicted cut is, nobody wants to do that. Nobody, like, not only you
there's
risking,
easier ways to get out of a fight.
you're
Say you've got a hand injury or
you're just risking your future as well, future fights, because you're creating a weakness in your eye that will always be there. So listen, it was unfortunate that it happened, but it does build the fight and make it bigger. It's just another layer to our already massive fight.
He looks lean, he looks strong.
Yeah.
Is he going to have an adequate enough time to prepare sparring-wise, do you think?
Yeah, he'd already done a lot. Has done a lot of sparring. You know what I mean? For a southpaw, fight is always overtrained for me. Anyway, I think rest is as much. It might be. It's going to be. I think it could be like a blessing in disguise. Tyson always pushes himself to the limits all the time. He needs to be reined in, I think, a little bit. So it could be a blessing in disguise, but I think a lot of fighters overtrain. Yeah, a lot of fighters do overtrain because they don't have the confidence in what they're doing, so they push themselves too hard.
May the 18th, how does it go?
I think Tyson can do it a number of ways. Outbox him, outpunch him, outfight him. It's a very interesting fight. Usyk will be tricky. He'll move and using good movement, setting traps. Tyson just has to stay one step ahead of him, and I think jab is very important for Tyson. Start landing his jab, and everything else will come off that.
Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. Every interview I say it because it's mad how this game works, and I think myself firsthand can probably be critical of this, and maybe yourself. I mean, you'll be able to tell me, but a year ago, the thought of Francis Ngannou entering a boxing ring, people laughed. Then he was meant to fight Tyson Fury, people laughed. People laughed the whole build-up. Spencer himself said to me, he was like, I was surprised.
Yeah.
Everyone was surprised that night. Now he fights Anthony Joshua on Friday night. Just how good is he? Because he's a man mountain.
Yeah, and listen, there's not to be like Joseph will tell you. When Joe was in Vegas in 2018, Ngannou was in the boxing gym training then, so it's not like this is a guy who's put on a pair of gloves for the first time. He's been trained as a boxer for a long time, and he's a patient fighter, and he's a patient, and a patient fighter is a good fighter. He's strong, he's a unit. I think it's AJ's a class operator, and is I don't know, maybe a 10-1 favourite, but with that 10-1 there's still a chance of that one, and Ngannou showed that he's a massive puncher. He's a hard man to hurt as well, so I think it's an interesting fight, and it's a big spectacle.
A prediction?
Nah, I think AJ will beat him, but I think he might have to have some hairy. It might have a hairy moment or two in there.
Just lastly from me, now with the involvement from Saudi Arabia and the amount of opportunities out here, and like I said, it's prize fighting, get the right money, then people will come together. Said it to Frank Smith earlier, almost regardless of results for Tyson and AJ. Do you think this is the most likely time that we could see them get it on?
Yeah. Listen, I don't know. It's just to be honest with you, I don't really care about it. I just want to get Joseph to win the fight.
Fair enough.
Tyson to win his fight.
Fair enough.
And whoever, let them fight whoever they want to fight after that. Because I think Joe, this is an interim world title, but Joe won this fight is as big. This fight deserves a world title on the line, and Tyson wins his fight, he's going to be undisputed, which is like no one deserves anything in boxing, but if he wins it, he almost deserves it. He almost deserves it after a career that he's had. This would be the cherry on top of the cake.
Andy Lee, some man for one man. Thank you very much.
No bother.
Back to Dublin Saturday, Sunday for a few Guinnesses.
Oh yeah. 3.5 weeks out here now.
Look at the smile on his face. Andy Lee, top man, thank you for speaking to us at the Stomping Ground.